Welcome to the April 14th meeting of the Hampton School Board. I would ask you all to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd ask Principal Tim Lannon to come up and introduce our first.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My pleasure to introduce Annabelle Holmes. Annabelle is a grade 2 student at Center School, and I'd like to introduce her mom and Ms. Colby, the teacher. Come on up. We have some exciting news to celebrate this evening. Exciting news. As you know, we at Center School, just like Marston School and Hampton Academy, participate in a PTA-sponsored event called The Reflections. And students submit in multiple areas, and our little Annabelle submitted a project, and we have levels that we go to that you must go through to get to the very top, and we have some great news. Do you want to share the great news?
Yes.
A little bit about the program?
Well, the reflection the reflection program is a program where children can submit. They have a series of rules, but they can do art projects or dance, music, sing. It has to be their original project. It's not something that they can copy. And so Annabelle had done a video, choreography video. And she did her own dance routine, and we went to the regionals. They had a night here where they had kind of like an art show with everyone's pieces of work, and they sent her on to the regionals, and we went to the regionals a couple weeks ago, and now they're sending on to the nationals. Thank you, in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Yeah.
So that's our exciting news.
That is super. How do you feel,
Do you have any
Annabelle?
questions? She's so excited. Do you have any questions?
How do you feel, Annabelle, about all this?
Nervous, happy, excited.
Wow.
Annabelle, where are the nationals? Tim, will you bring the microphone down?
Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Washington, D.C.
And when do you go?
We actually don't go.
The project.
Yeah, they go.
Okay.
Yes, and then we'll find out. I don't know exactly what day we'll find out.
Well, when you win, then maybe you'll get to go. Okay?
We'll let you know.
On an exciting piece, Annabelle will be leaving us at Center School this year, but she's been with me for 5 years.
Wow.
No, our preschool starts at 3 years old, so I get the very lucky honor sometimes of having students much longer than the other two principals because of our preschool program. So I'm truly going to miss Annabelle, and she's done a wonderful job for us. So.
Annabelle, can you bring in the video sometime so maybe we can play it at one of our meetings so that everyone can see it?
It's my fault.
Not a problem.
Thank you very much.
Was it not on the stick?
I had
Congratulations to Mrs. Colby for having you as a student.
I'm the lucky one.
Wow.
That's
Thank
really
you.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you
Good
very
for you,
much.
Annabelle.
Mrs. Murphy, are you going to introduce our oratorical contest finalists?
Well, I am going to introduce their teacher, who
I
is
think
in
that's
charge.
great.
And I've had a chance to actually see the oratoricals presentations at Hampton Academy a couple of weeks ago, and was blown away by the 20 participants. Mr. DeLuca was with me that night, so it was a great night. And then I had a chance this morning to see them again. The top 3 winners present at Rotary Club. So they presented this morning. And then I thought you'd enjoy to hear their speeches tonight. So Mrs. Pastor, would you do the honors, please, and introduce the students? Mrs. Pastor has been an integral part of this program. She and Jim Doherty have sort of spearheaded this. I know that Laurie Cotter also was very, very active in this, and so this is an activity that really shines the students, shines brightly on the students. It's a great program.
Well, our finalists appreciate the opportunity to give their speeches to you tonight as well.
Is it something I said? His phone is out.
I don't want to tell you.
And
Greg.
we'll begin with our student who was awarded third place with her speech titled "The Wild Winter Weather of 2015." And then we'll hear from our second place winner, Catherine Desmond, with "Is Popularity Overrated?" And then we'll finish with our first place winner, Jenna Myers, with a comparison and contrast of the male and female brain.
Emily?
The wind howled by. The tiny snowflakes piled up, one by one. Snow, drifted by the wind, created monstrous mountains of white in the backyard. Furniture on the porch was completely covered up by a 2-foot blanket. Bushes, now hidden entirely by the snowy ground, were level with the first floor windows. This was a scene we all woke up to on Wednesday, January 28, 2015. Schools and businesses closed all across the region, and some cities had to take 3 whole days to clean up due to the storm. These were the outcomes of the blizzard of 2015 that left its mark on New England, but was not the end of the season, only the beginning. Day after day, and then week after week, more storms brought even more snow and created difficult commutes to schools and work. After the winter of 2015 consisted of numerous snowstorms that have broken many historical records, had a huge effect on communities and its people, and this past winter has been an interesting turn of events all around America. The true definition of a blizzard, according to Chief Meteorologist Matt Noyes of NECN, is at least a 3-hour period of high winds gusting frequently over 35 miles per hour, and blowing drifting snow, resulting in near zero visibilities. Lowell, Massachusetts had 111 inches of snow by February 13th, and at the time was the snowiest city in all of America. Consequently, all the snow created a winter wonderland of New England, but also caused problems with transportation. As a result of all the snow this year, communities, especially cities, have had to deal with the undesirable conditions due to extreme weather. Highway crews struggled to keep highways cleared, and some started roads were left unplowed, and entire cars were buried. Schools all over New England were canceled repeatedly, and commutes to work were difficult for many. Boston and other Massachusetts subway stations had to close from the weather. Additionally, the snow on top of roofs caused issues in New England throughout the winter season. A few inches of light powdery snow would not be a concern, but feet of heavy snow atop buildings can cave in ceilings and demolish entire buildings if not removed. WHDH News provided information about these incidents, including the elementary school in Epping, New Hampshire. In late February, firefighters declared the school unsafe and closed it down for an entire week so that officials could clear the roof. Furthermore, the snow this past winter affected the people of New England in many ways. But how has the rest of America been affected by the weather? The winter of 2015 has been an unforgettable few months, with extreme temperatures and weather conditions all around America. We may have thought that all the records this year for temperatures and precipitation were for snow and frigid temperatures in the Northeast, but the majority of the records have been set in the western United States for their above-average temperatures. Salt Lake City, Utah has been 16.4 degrees above average, and Boise, Idaho was 12.2 degrees above normal during the month of February. USA Today reported these temperatures, and that this winter overall for the United States has been the 6th warmest winter on record. Kansas experienced temperatures in the mid-80s in early February, while their average temperature is in the 40s range. Also, the mountain resorts out west in California, Utah, and Oregon had trouble keeping trails open, and some resorts had to end skiing season sooner due to the shortage of snow. Meanwhile, back east, ski resorts like Bretton Woods, Okemo Mountain Resort, Killington, and Sugarbush had all their trails open for most of the winter. This past winter was full of surprises and extreme winter weather. Everything from frigid temperatures, 4 to 5 feet of snow in our town, and icicles and ice dams on rooftops were signs an extreme winter was upon us. Our season has been so extreme, not just in New England, but everywhere in America. From record-breaking snow and cold in the Northeast, all the way to unusual warm temperatures in the West. People all around the country have been affected in different ways by the winter. We can prepare for the weather, but we are no match for Mother Nature. The power of weather cannot be underestimated, and we must be ready to face the challenges it may bring. This particular winter has been a fabulous performance of everything weather is capable of demonstrating. It has been a historical, a memorable, and spectacular winter we will never forget. Thank you. Hello.
Hey, Catherine.
How are you?
Great.
Great.
Okay. In a study done in 2013, 1/4 of middle school students and 1/3 of high school students say that popularity is more important to them than friendship. They would be more willing to change for popularity than to find a friend who accepts them for who they really are. They don't need friends, they just need popularity. Sounds a little bit outrageous, doesn't it? I think so. In fact, this is a nice example to show just how overrated popularity really is. This shows that popularity has had such a strong effect on these people's lives that it has become more important to them than a meaningful friendship. Popularity can ruin a person's way of thinking and behaving, causing the idea of popularity to become an obsession. Popularity creates divides between completely equal people, turning the negative concept of it into an avoided statement, because people don't want to think of their desires as a negative thing, do they? Popularity convinces people to hide their real personalities, their true selves. The bottom line is quite clear. Popularity is detestable, popularity is overrated, and popularity is misconceived. Popularity can and will ruin the way a person lives, behaves, and sees him or herself as well as others. The most frightening part is that they might not even realize that their mindset has changed. If people were to stop worrying about whether they are considered popular among their peers, they could spend more time bettering themselves. It is proven by an ABC News study that great people will gravitate toward you if you do, in fact, stop worrying and focus on bettering yourself. As people, we attract exactly what we put out. If we pretend to be someone that we aren't for the approval of our peers, we will attract more fake friends. Nobody should ever feel the need to pretend to be someone else for the satisfaction of popularity, no matter what age they are. An Illinois news study shows that children are exposed to issues with popularity as early as 2nd grade. 3rd graders are concerned about their social status. This will greatly change the way they think, behave, and act in their later years of life, in and out of school, as it will do to those of any age. But there are more overrated factors of popularity than the way it affects you. Those who desire to be popular usually overlook one very important factor. Popularity is not always a good concept. Popularity is only a label and creates divides between completely equal people. But being popular doesn't mean anything once someone graduates from school. Out in the working world, being most popular in class isn't going to land someone a high-paying job. And while the most popular kids may look like they're having the time of their lives, a Parenting.com study shows that the most popular kids do not always come out on top. The most popular kids are typically hit with the most peer pressure because they feel as if they need to continue to appeal to the opinions of their peers. There is no reason that we shouldn't be able to talk to who we want to based on social status for any reason. We are all equal, but the social tower doesn't agree. Stated by New Moon Girls author Samantha Wong, 35% of students on average believe that they are popular, but only 9% are liked by their peers. Being popular does not always secure someone a handful of friends just because they know their name. One of the worst effects of popularity is that it makes people hide their real personalities, their true selves. Quite often, people will change themselves to fit into the popular crowd. They will basically throw their old personalities away and trade it for ones that would seem to be more accepted among their friends. This is very well demonstrated in the well-known movie Mean Girls, when main character Katie Heron becomes friends with the popular crowd in her school, changing her entire personality in doing so. She is pressured to do things she would never do, to say things she would never say, and to completely change her image. Soon enough, this behavior becomes natural to Katie. Yes, people now knew who she was, but there weren't many people who still liked her. Being popular will not make someone unanimously liked, no matter how much they change. Hopefully, it is now clear that popularity is completely overrated in today's society. Unless we change the concept of popularity, it will continue to ruin people's way of thinking, behaving, and living. Popularity will continue to create divides between equal people and continue to force people's genuine personalities into hiding in fear of judgment. Unless we confront the issue and change it, the problem will grow worse with each day. If we could all change, we would create a more compassionate world. That seems like too broad of an idea, but it's truly possible. On top of a more compassionate world, we would be more compassionate and accepting people. Isn't that the way we always want to be? Well, here's the easy solution. Not everyone in the world is nice 100% of the time, so naturally you will be judged one way or another. So be yourself. Being yourself is much more satisfying than being popular. Guaranteed. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know.
There you go. I just want the camera to see your faces instead of the side of your face, the side of your head.
The disparities between male and female brains start as early as 26 weeks into fetal development. At this point, the corpus callosum, or the bridge of nerve tissue that connects the right and left side of the brain, has a significantly bigger width in females than males. The brain affects our personality, emotions, intelligence, and much more. The structure of our brain affects our exercise and eating habits, along with other things that make up a healthy and nutritious lifestyle. Today, neuroscientists have made monumental discoveries that have helped the world understand the way the brain works in more depth than ever before. The anatomy of the male and female brains is very similar, but some of the differences in brain construction explain differences between the genders. In the areas that it does differentiate, it explains why men and women think and act like they do. Disorders also develop differently in males and females. The two genders tend to specialize in different intelligences, with females leaning more toward art and music, and males scoring higher in math and science. Male and female brains are very different, and they influence our lives in ways that are now understood more than anyone thought possible. The general anatomies of both genders' brains are very telling to the general personality. Rajini Verma, professor of radiology at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, conducted research on 949 people. 521 females and 428 males between the ages of 8 and 22 were monitored. Professor Verma would say a word, and the subjects would say the first word that came into their heads. This showed the research team that the differences between the brains of males and females do not develop until adolescence. The younger subjects would think very similarly to the other sex, while the older subjects would say completely opposite things. According to the article, Do Men and Women Have Different Brains by Molly Edmonds, men have 6.5 times more gray matter inside their brains than women do. However, women have up to 10 times more white matter. Although this does not have any obvious effects on personality, this further proves that the layout of the brains are different. Another structural difference is size. Men tend to have larger brains than women do. This does not mean that men are smarter than women, however, as women have the same amount of brain cells as men do, but theirs are compacted into a tighter area. Furthermore, Professor Verma believes that this is why women tend to think faster, because the signals moving around their brains do not have as far to travel. A major difference between male and female brains is the parts activated while doing different activities. Women tend to use the right side of their brains, or the side connected with art, music, and creativity, while men lean toward their left brains, the side that focuses on math, science, and speaking. A research team from Harvard in 2001 had men and women sound out unfamiliar words. Simultaneously, they monitored what parts of the brains were being used during this process. Most women in this study utilized their connections between the two sides of the brains and used up to 5 different areas of their brains. Out of the men in this study, 83% of them used only one small part of their left brain. It was astonishing, however, that both sexes had about the same number of correct pronunciations. The study discovered that men and women use different parts of their brains, but are still able to come to the same conclusions. Disorders also tend to present themselves in different ways, depending upon the sex of the affected person. Autism presents itself almost 5 times more in young boys than girls. Scientists at the University of London believe that this is because the female brain has more sections built for empathy than the male brain does. The latest study by the Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences shows that most male brains have 3 empathy connections, while the average female has 6. Furthermore, because men have fewer empathy connections, depression and chronic anxiety tend to evolve in women more. Reuben Gur, a psychologist at Pennsylvania University, has mapped both the male and female brains in detail. He says, "It's quite striking how complementary the male and female brains actually are. Detailed maps of the brain will help us better understand the disorders that seem to present themselves to one particular sex. Scientists have made extreme progress in understanding these disorders." In conclusion, neurologists have discovered many things about the brains of both genders. Now they are able to explain differences in personality traits, disorders, and anatomies of male and female brains. If neuroscientists continue to research the human brain, they can make connections between topics we would have never thought imaginable. For instance, psychologist Dr. Gregory Jantz discovered that females tend to have verbal centers on both sides of the brain, while males tend to have verbal centers only on the left hemisphere. This explains why females tend to talk faster and more. Think about this. The next time that you think a woman is talking too fast or a man is refusing to listen, it's coded into their brains. Thank you.
Thank you. I noticed that we still have some students here, so I think they're here for STEM.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we move the STEM presentation to the top of the, we can wait for Mr. Bridle and the rest of the agenda until you are done.
This is from the back.
Yeah.
While we're setting up, just to let you know, this is the second year of the STEM program at the middle school, and to the leadership of Kelly and the teachers. And by the way, this is not just Kelly. All of our science teachers are involved in STEM activities, so the kids will show you tonight some of the things that they're doing in their class.
Sure.
Pretty comfortable.
Let's just set that up.
So all these other kids are actually
Yeah, they just came to support their brothers and sisters, I think.
good.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, Kelly.
I'm Kelly Birch, and I have some wonderful student volunteers here to talk about STEM. Lance, Tyler, Jake, and Madison are going to be talking about their favorite projects toward the end of the presentation. So I'm just going to give a quick overview of what we've done this year, highlight some of the new projects, and then feel free to ask our panel any questions you might have. Okay, so there's a different theme for each year. Grade 8, Technological Systems, 7, Inventions and Innovation, and Grade 6, Exploring Technology, which is my main course. We have a bunch of projects. We usually start out with making iMovies, We all create solar ovens, usually the first project of the fall, last project of the spring. Robot hands. We just started our geocaching unit on the Hampton team, so we're running around outside with our GPS units, and we'll move on to learning how to geocache and navigate to coordinates. These guys are really fond of the 3D design and printing, and I think they're going to be their primary focus when they talk with us tonight. We also have the Finch robots. Last year we only had them for 1 month. Sue McNichol and I won a grant to have them for a month as they traveled around to different schools, and we're fortunate enough to own 20 of them thanks to the school trustees. So we've been able to go more in depth with our robot programming. We had an essay challenge, and this year we're trying some new citizen science projects, and we also make some fun commercials for the Expo of the Americas Night coming up next month. Okay, we have STEM Day at the fire station. We had last fall, Lance attended. I'm not sure if you're pictured here in the newspaper in the back of the ambulance, but it was a great day. There were 5 different stations, and in this picture, the EMT is demonstrating the glide scope, some of the new technology they use in emergency situations. We also got to use the thermal imaging camera, explore medical math, and measure out fake medicine with a syringe. Lance, what do you remember from that day?
Like, I remember, like, they taught us about, like, our heartbeat and, like, how much forces of water you need for the hose they use, and some of that math. And then we learned, like, what we have to wear, and, like, they have, like, these thermal cameras, so they could see you. If we had a fire in here, they could see you if you're, like, trapped, and, like, so they know there's, like, a hole or something. And then there's this loud, like, noise, which is, like, well, really loud, and so that tells the other firefighters that you're, like, someplace else, and that, like, you need to be rescued because, like, you're trapped somewhere and you can't get out.
Thanks, Lance. All right, and the Hampton team will be heading over to the fire station soon for another STEM day. And the Finch robots, we have 20, so not only did we have time to use them to code them to make a dance, we also were able to program them to run through a few different mazes using just the sensors. Would any of the Hampton team like to chime in?
Yeah, sure. There was 3 different levels of mazes. One of them just went like this, kind of. One was kind of a U shape, and then a bunch of students, I think in the first period class, put a big one together, and we had to try to navigate. Some of us tried to navigate that. Do you know how many were successful at that? I mean, it's probably like 5 groups.
Quite a few.
There was quite a few people who were successful at that. But we all tried the mazes, and it was a challenge, but it was a fun challenge. We really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Tyler. We just started a new project, Citizen Science, where students are contributing data to research projects. So LeafSnap is a collaboration between a number of universities, and basically we use the iPads, which is in front of Tyler, and take a photo of a leaf or a flower or fruit from a plant, and it helps us to identify it. And it also, we're sharing information about where these plants are located. And we also just started Project Yard Map with Cornell, which is a habitat mapping project throughout the U.S. Next year, I'm pretty excited about the building underwater ROVs, remotely operated vehicles. So this fall, we went to UNH, Angela and I went to UNH, and we built this ROV, and that's supported by the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. And they're really excited to work with our students. I think that'd be a great 8th grade project for next year. So these are, you completely assemble them, you have to waterproof the the motors, and I'm really hoping to see that happening next year. All right, 3D printing and design. So here are some images of some of the designs that we made in the fall. And some of the different programs we used. There's an app on the iPad called Print Shop. We also made designs using Thingiverse Customizer. And there was a 3 versus 3 basketball tournament this year, and the prizes were rings that said HA and then 3v3 on the inside. Okay. Tinkercad, you're going to hear a lot about that from the students. That's more of a from-scratch design program that we used. And how are we on time? This is a 2-minute video. I don't...
Sure.
Okay, sure. Can you click on Julia? So this was an opportunity students had to capture what is 3D printing within about a 20-minute period of time. So the...
Hi, my name is Julia Stamos. Today I'm going to tell you about 3D printing. First, let me ask some of my friends what they think of it. What is 3D printing? It's where you design something online and then you print it and it comes out via plastic and it's like an actual item instead of flat. Favorite thing that you've made with the 3D printer?
My favorite thing that I made was a Tyrannosaurus Rex. His name is Rexy.
Favorite thing about 3D printing?
I like how you can design whatever you want, and when you print it out, you can actually like use it and play with it instead of it being flat, just on a piece of paper.
Which what kind of 3D printer do we have?
We have a MakerBot mini replicator. And we just finished a student design of a Tootsie Roll.
And then, what design did you print with the 3D printer?
I printed my very small but very cute duck.
This is Thingiverse. You can make designs and print them out on the 3D printer with this website. This is Tinkercad. You can make all different designs and actually build them with different shapes. In the Learn setting, they teach you how to make different sorts of designs. All different websites, and you can design with the websites to make different designs for the 3D printer. These are a bunch of designs we have made. This is a little birdie charm for a necklace. This is a little ring with a flower, and this is another ring with a crown. This is a cool snowflake. This is really cool. And this is a little alligator, and this is a penguin. And now we're here with Matt.
Watch my video, and remember, you can always go on those websites and try to make 3D designs for yourself.
I think Julie did a great job there. And it shows a little of the excitement in the classroom. If you could go back to the PowerPoint, just click the bottom.
Just board presentation.
Okay, good job. Thanks, Jake. All right. Lance.
So I went to the main medical center, and we donated all of these items, like this penguin for an example, for this dinosaur. And so I went to the in Portland, and we wanted to give these kids that are in the hospital, that can't go places, go out and have fun with friends, and basically make them stuff from our 3D printer that they could play with, that something that will make them happy, and because of all the surgery or something or chemotherapy they have to go through, and so they don't have to be sad and lonely, and so they could have something a little toy to play with.
Some examples. And hand-sewn gift bags. And Lance wanted us to see one of his iMotion videos of the 3D printer working.
It's really cool when it's working, and it also smells like maple syrup because the filament is made from corn plastic.
So this was about an hour and 45-minute print of a student design played back in about 7 seconds. So we can really see it. You want to do it one more time? That was kind of fast. So the platform moves down as the filament comes out of the extruder.
And as you see, it's not just hollow in the center, it's honeycomb, so it's not like, it's just like this hollow thing where you like knock against it, it's hollow.
Yeah. It's very cool.
Excellent.
And these are some of the designs I wanted to kind of like donate. The top 3 are made from Tinkercad, and the bottom 3 are made from Print Shop. So, like, as you can see, Print Shop now has a new, like, they just had those 3 first. A ring, a bracelet, or like this thing, like this text box. But now they have a vase. Like, there's this vase, and in that bag, you can see that there's a little vase in it.
And Lance, you can also make medallions now too. She tried to do that for the 3v3, but there were some problems.
These are my designs, and I designed the house, the cupcake, in Tinkercad. I designed the vase and the ring in Print Shop, and I customized the peace sign and the bookmark in Thingiverse.
Oh, mine. Okay. So, if you see the plane and the stand for the plane, which I was going to make, but that apparently doesn't need a stand now. There's my plane, and this is actually what it looks like now. So you can see between design and real thing. I can pass this around if you guys want to see this. Do you guys see that? I designed it using Tinkercad, and I just like to point out that Tinkercad is a kid's version of the CAD design program that's used on computers. And it's really cool to see your designs come to a reality. I made these 2 using the Print Shop app in the middle, and the 2 on the end I made using Thingiverse. But I spent most of my time on Tinkercad because I guess that's really fun. And I also had a lot of fun doing the Finch robots. The coding was really fun, and I learned a lot about coding.
I made a 3D printed car that actually moves. I had to do a few prints to get it. 4 prints for the tires and 1 for the truck. Those are on the left-hand side. And I also, in Print Shop, I made a vase and my name. And then in Thingiverse, I made a phone case and a hook.
Thank you, guys.
Do you guys realize how amazing you are? How talented you are?
Thank you.
You should give yourselves a pat on the back. This is really neat.
Thank you.
And it's something that our generation would have never dreamed of doing at your age. So that is amazing.
Do you guys have any questions, just quickly?
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, tell me again what this is made from. Corn plastic? Yeah, it's corn plastic. It's kind of like an organic plastic.
Okay.
And it's obviously dyed to make different colors.
This goes into the printer?
Yep, there's a slat at the back of the printer, and you stick it in, and then you take a little filament, and you put it in a plastic at the top of the extruder, and then the extruder keeps pulling it through.
And so our 3D printer can't
Lance
do
is
this.
like a 3D printer genius.
Our 3D printer can't do this, but they're now making like the software that your 3D printer can like print organisms. Like, say if you're missing a kidney, you can get 3D printed kidney transplant in instead of like someone donating their kidney to someone else. So.
And that makes a really good point, Lance. They're working on tons of new technology for the 3D printers. Another thing that I thought was kind of cool is they're working on technology right now where you can put any object, such as this finch or whatever, into a 3D printer, and it will scan it, and then it will, I guess, make a model of that object and print it. So I thought that was kind of
And about that car
Yes?
or truck, they are really making 3D printed cars. You can
Oh.
make 3D printed like food.
They're even using concrete in Japan to make 3D printed houses, I believe.
Yeah, there are some pretty cool things that they 3D print. I have seen 3D printed houses. You can 3D print shoes as well, and fully working cars, which I think is very cool.
So it would just be a different material depending on the function?
Yes.
Okay.
For our
Go in there.
3D printer, it's the corn plastic, composite plastic, and for most of the printers that MakerBot makes, it's plastic.
Yeah, it would be cool. Like, say if you you have a huge neighborhood you live in, you're the only one with a 3D printed car. You might think you're you're kind of unique, because no one else has like a 3D printed car and something like that. So like you could probably think you're unique, or it's pretty cool because a 3D printed car is going like a long way.
3D printing is the future.
Yes.
Do all the students have access to this curriculum that you're doing?
All the 6th graders right now, and then I also teach a 7-8 team time class. But students come in and say, oh, we need a Golden Gate Bridge, or can you help us because we're studying ancient Egypt and we need an artifact. So we work together. But the 6th graders are very savvy. Lance has even trained the STEM intern. She's a senior at Winnicott who wants to major in aerospace engineering, and he taught her how to use the modeling software and the printer.
So, the school that's going on right now of the composite is orange?
Yeah, that one's orange, but we have tons of different colors. That one,
You have to feed them separately?
the car is red. Yeah, you do. You have to print them separately. So let's say you wanted to print like a, I don't know, something that has half another color. You'd have to print them separately with the printer that we currently have.
Actually, you don't have to do that. You can actually change the filament during.
I know, but I'm saying you can't have two filaments in the printer at
Yeah, you
once.
can't have the two filaments.
Obviously, if they can make kidneys, they must be able to make multiple colors.
They do. They
How
make.
much of a stretch is that from what we have now?
It's
you know?
just another model or two up from what we have.
Just a couple more dollars.
If you want a little addition, I'll be more than happy to supply it.
If you're gonna print a kidney, you wouldn't use filament.
Yeah.
We're just talking about that, Frank.
I was also very impressed that you brought the community service component into it.
Yeah.
Because that, I don't know, it kind of brings them down a little bit in thinking about the people. So that, how many people went to the main medical center?
You can answer this.
Yeah, it was just me, my mom and my sister that went. And we went to the children's, like, I forget what it's called, but it's like the children's center. Because they go from like infants to like 18-year-olds. They have a website telling you like what the kids like to do and like.
Although everybody who's done the 6th grade for fun sort of 3D printing unit has had the option to donate. I personally have my plan because I think it's way too cool to donate. I'm sorry. I'm too much of a tech. I'm too much of a tech. I can't. But I'm impressed with how many people do it. A lot of people are doing it. I'm too much of a tech.
Yeah.
I was disappointed in myself, but I decided that I was
You are a
too much
self-aware man. Right, we all have our faults that we have to work on. So don't worry about it.
Very impressive, Kelly, this is awesome. Thank you for doing this with us. This is amazing.
Get us a bigger printer, we'll do whatever you want.
I think they should look into that.
You guys did a great job, amazing.
So much. Thank you for teaching us. You really, you learned something.
So we're gonna get a bigger printer.
Yeah,
Much bigger.
so we can make a bigger car.
Heights will be next.
With multicolored technology.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I mean, they're way beyond what we are. You know, who would have ever thought? I'll see you That's certainly good. It is. It is so incredible.
Very nice. There's an active follow right there.
Uh-oh.
Cool. Night, Kelly.
At this point, it's time to recognize someone that sat on this board with us for 6 years. He sat through the transition from SAU 21 to SAU 90, helped us hire the superintendent, the business administrator, also went through numerous policies and various meetings, and finally left us to join another board. He's sometimes known as my husband, my brother, but he's always been my friend. And Rusty, come on up. Just must be some empty seats tonight. You're welcome to sit up here.
Thank you.
But
I'm all set.
we hope you enjoy, not as much as you did with us, but your new assignment with the town, and we thank you for your years on the school board.
Well, thank you, and thank all the members here. And everybody just has to remember, it's about the kids. It's about the kids. It's about how we treat them. It's about how we treat our staff, and about how we work with our taxpayers and make that work. So I commend anybody that gets on this board. I commend you, Frank, getting on here. It's a fun board to be on. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. And congratulate all you for putting your time in, and good luck. So.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. I'm not going anywhere. So. I want one of those 3D printers, by the way.
Okay. Now we'll do superintendent's report.
You want to do the school board updates?
Is there, oh, good morning, Mr. Zanoy. It's nice of you to join us.
I apologize, I'll explain later.
Not a problem. We're glad that you came.
Oh, I couldn't miss this. It was fun.
You missed a lot of good information.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you would have loved the presentation, Jerry.
I see the kids leaving all smiles, so
Oh, yes.
they were happy to present. I said, gee, I missed that.
What time is it?
It's 7:20.
All right. Has anyone got any news or information? Frank?
None.
Any? Andrea? Jerry?
No.
I believe there's a blood drive tomorrow from 2 to 4?
2 to 7.
2 to 7 at the Hampton Academy. American Red Cross is doing a blood drive, so everyone's welcome to come and contribute. At this point, I guess we would ask for the superintendent's report.
May I interrupt for a minute?
Sure.
Madam Chairman?
You may.
I'd like to make a recommendation.
Sure.
With respect to the agenda.
Sure.
I'm of the opinion that we should get the principals on here quickly. They work all day, you know, some come in very early. We get the principals and Sarah's and Janine's report and special eds, or Greg himself if he's here. and get them done and get them home. Or they can stay here if they wish till 9:30, 10 o'clock, but before we get into the superintendent's report and to Nate's report, that would be my recommendation. Make it a permanent change to the agenda so that we recognize the fact that they've worked all day and, you know.
Does anyone have any problem with that? No, we can do that. Well, I don't have a problem.
Thank you
Do you
very
have a
much.
problem with that?
Not at all.
Not at all, good, okay. Well, we'll start off with, Mr. O'Connor is not here this evening, so we will not be doing the Hampton Academy report. We will be doing, we'll start with Mrs. Costa's report. Has anyone got any questions for Mrs. Costa?
Let me take a look here. I have it.
Oh, I'm out of order.
Um,
You have your variety show coming up
Yes,
Thursday night?
Yeah, Thursday evening, 6:30 at Winnicott High School. It'll be a great night. Come early, this is gonna be a sold-out show. Oh, we will reserve seats for anyone that would like to come. Let us know.
How long does the show usually go?
It'll start at 6:30, if you wrap up between 8 and 8:30. There's about 40 acts, over 100 students. It's really just a great time, a great night. A lot of fun for kids. I know that Laurie Sullivan, Gus Carlson worked really hard with the kids to make them all superstars that evening. There's a lot of talent at Marsden School, and we love celebrating it, so.
I also noticed that you have your fourth grade students beginning their Smarter Balance, or had them begin already.
Yep.
I want to tell you that I appreciate that because I noticed that they will then have their science kneecaps May 19th to 21st. So you've given them a good amount of time between the two testing sessions. And I really appreciate that because it can be pretty overwhelming to have two separate tests, one on top of the other.
We tried to be deliberate with how we were scheduling, in the sense that we didn't want to be the first school out of the gate, because there were a couple of glitches, but I have to say overall, and Greg, the technology staff, Greg along with his support staff, Noah and Dave Hansberry, have been fantastic and have been there assisting us as we go, and we've been able to start with our fourth grade, we've moved into our fifth grade, and now we're at our third grade that's testing. And it's gone relatively very smoothly. We've got our third graders using their Chromebooks. We had the fourth graders, some use the Chromebooks, some use the labs, and our fifth graders are using the labs. So we had multiple sessions going today. In fact, how many sessions were there? I think there were easily six or seven at one time, and all hands on deck. But it was great. We were very intentional beginning with the fourth graders, knowing that in May we would be doing the science kneecaps.
So I guess I have a question also for Greg. This is not something that could be done by the whole school, like in one go?
Not yet. We don't have enough devices to give everybody that. Eventually, when we go one-to-one, grades 3 to 8, we can, but then we have to examine bandwidth issue. We should be okay in our current setup, because I ran a test saying if we were to do the test with everybody all at once, would we have sufficient bandwidth, and the test came back saying yes. But as of right now, there aren't enough devices to have everybody do it all at once, but we're moving towards that.
Okay.
We also, Andrew, just to let you know, we've also been very intentional in putting some proctors and support in every classroom. So what's nice is that although all third grade classrooms do have the Chromebooks, we've decided to actually do 4 and 3 at a time. So for instance, I know, Sue Antico, you've been in the classroom, as has a number of other interventionists, targeted supports, Title I tutors. A number of support staff have been in there to have just a second set of hands in there to walk around, to reassure, to help troubleshoot, to help keep everybody just, you know, knowing that there would be somebody there to back up. So I think that's been the nice thing, is that we have really been very careful in terms of how we've scheduled it to make sure that we have everyone feel the support. And if anybody had to go to another classroom, there was an adult to be there as well.
Okay, I have a couple things.
No, please.
I'd like to give kudos to Mr. Sadler for his continuing work with the Safe Routes to School, and you know, that's really great. Thank you for stepping up and doing that for us. I was wondering if the board was going to get a, from Marston and Hampton Academy, do we get to receive and review the report from the Department of Homeland Security? Is that something that the board will receive?
Right, we will do that. There are recommendations around our school safety. We probably would not do that in a public session because they'll make recommendations, but we have not received that as of yet.
Okay, but when,
Just like you got the report from Peter Kent's outfit a year ago, we'll do the same exact thing. We anticipate, we did have a meeting with them, a debrief session at the end of their reviews, so we kind of have an idea where they're at, but we haven't received the official written. But yes, we absolutely will have that.
And I noticed, I've always just been curious about the band program. I understand, am I correct, that the teacher from Hampton Academy goes to Marston? That's an after-school program?
Correct. Yep, that's
Is that a stipend position?
We actually, they are paid, I don't know if it's a stipend or if they are paid the hourly rate that we do pay some of our other staff that do the homework club after school. So I believe that's how we've been billing it. So it's Mondays and Tuesday after school, and it's Mrs. Gray and Mr. Carlson that are working with, I want to say roughly, it varies by day, but about 40, would you say, in total, between the 2 days and the two teachers. So it's a great feeder program into the middle school band.
Yep.
But it's been great, and we've been able to use the homework club bus to provide transportation for those students that need it after school as well for the instrument lessons. So it's really worked out, I would say, well. We've been able to get the kids that want to go.
And thank you for doing the Volunteer Appreciation Week. That's a very nice thing to do. And finally, how did the grade 5 to Hampton Academy concert go?
I'm going to defer to Nathan, because Nathan actually went over and he
Yeah, it went
can speak.
excellent. We went up into the upper gym and they do the 6th grade chorus, and we turn around and listen to 7th and 8th grade. Then we got to go downstairs into the cafeteria, dining hall area, and listen to the band. It was great because the kids get exposed to the program, but also give them some exposure to the building and let them see kind of the big main common areas they'll spend time in. But it went really well. It was fantastic. They put on a great show.
Great. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you.
Can we have a motion to accept the $234 for the Marston School from Hannaford Health Schools?
I'll make that motion.
Right? Second?
Second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
We thank people who shop at Hannaford and put their receipts in the bucket. Thank you, Lois.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Questions for Mr. Lehman?
I'm not done with Lois.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jerry.
I know I wasn't here for a while, but...
Well, I know.
So you
It
forgot all
has to
about-
get me, you have to get used to it now, Jerry.
Hi, Lois. Good evening.
Good to see you.
I just a few highlights. I read the report, as I do all the time, very diligently. I know you prepare it carefully, so I owe you that. I like this fact that on the Smarter Balance assessment, each grade will participate in 7 consecutive sessions for approximately 60 minutes each day. Is that now, what, are these sessions a day apart, or are they a week apart?
They're consecutive. We actually followed the recommended schedule that the Department of Ed provided with, the overviews of Smarter Balanced, and they actually recommended, doing language arts and then math, and there was some continuity between the two, but we really followed their schedule, and we allowed more time than was necessary, quite honestly.
Yeah, that's okay.
When students were done, we let them either move ahead. The great thing about it is children can go back and finish other parts that they may not have finished.
Yeah.
So it's really it's designed nicely in the sense that kids can kind of work at their own pace, going through the different sessions. There are 7 different tests. So that being the case, some were finishing quicker than others, and were actually moving very quickly.
So it is 7 consecutive days.
It was.
I
It
see.
was.
I like that, because
Yeah.
it's hard to hold kids' attention,
Right.
40 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour, but so 3 or 4 hour tests, I never was really a fan of. So that's good. I'm glad to hear that, and I know I spoke to Madam Superintendent about it too, that the sense was that it was being received well, and they were taking to it well. And of course, our notebook orientations helped them a lot. They weren't afraid of keyboards, if you will. So.
No, a lot of talk about stamina, keyboarding skills, and the teachers are making great notebooks that we'll be able to review and to pass on. And even the boys and girls were really great with providing us with feedback. I had some great informal conversations with 5th graders today about engagement And it was really interesting to hear what they had to say about the language arts versus the math engagement, and which one they felt was more engaged and why. And they said they wish they had a little more choice with certain things because they would have been more engaged. I think it's really interesting to hear how they're reflecting on the test and thinking about themselves as learners. So, great conversation.
That's what it's all about, right? I mean, it's an embryonic period we're in with respect to that smarter balance.
Right.
So the first year or two or whatever is going to be, a lot of the stuff has got to bubble up and get to the right people so that we could strengthen it if we have to, or make it more focused if we have to, you know.
And we'll do that, Jerry. We'll
sure.
send the notes to the state and to let them know not only what the staff felt about it, but the students, the users themselves.
I mean, this is a very...
I think it's great information for them.
Feedback is great. And now you've done, what, one grade and you're doing another now?
We're about 2/3 through. We started with 4th, we pretty much finished with 5th, and we had 3rd start today. So we have one more session for some 5th graders and then 3rd grade to finish. So we're winding down. We'll be done before April break.
We'll be anxious to see some of the early results.
Absolutely, definitely.
I see where grade level and area representatives in language arts and math have met to align curriculum and assessments with student reporting.
Yep.
Thought that was very good. That means with student reporting in terms of report cards, or?
Right. As we're transitioning obviously over into that Common Core curriculum, what we were doing is thinking about our report card, and if you recall, the report card that you probably last saw was aligned to the state frameworks.
Yeah.
So there's obviously some realignment based on the work we did with Dr. Heather Driscoll as we think about those milestones that we identified in language arts and math. We probably want to look at the report card and make sure that there is alignment. So we had we had groups of language arts and math people work through this, and I know that there's going to be more information that will be coming your way, because it really made us pause and really think about our reporting, and that are we reporting what we're actually teaching given the shift from state frameworks to Common Core curriculum. So it's just really kind of natural that it happened, and as a result, I think there'll be some great conversations that will happen in the months ahead.
Okay.
Yep.
I see we're taking the kneecaps for science again, right? I'll be anxious.
May 19th?
What was that area? Inquiry? What do they call it? Inquiry.
Right, yeah.
I'll be watching that, Lois.
So will we.
With interest. And this Wicked Wednesday, do we have all these activities happening just on Wednesday, or are they, this business of French, Spanish, cake decorating, pottery, woodworking, math club?
That's Wicked Wednesday, Jerry.
That's all.
Wonderful Wednesdays.
Every Wednesday, but we don't have it on Mondays or Tuesdays or Thursdays.
We have a number of things that really go on Monday through Friday. So this is the PTAs. They are like our mini activities, our mini clubs that happen after school for 5 weeks. It's been one of those historical things that have happened based on parents and students' interests. So we have French and Spanish being offered, all the offerings that you see in front of you. It's a 5-week introduction to those different topic areas.
Very nice.
But Monday and Tuesday we've got band, we have homework club, we've now got variety show practice after school.
Nice.
We keep them pretty busy.
So this is like 3 to 4:30 or something like that, 3 to 4?
It's about 3 to 4.
Yeah.
Right.
I like the Wicked Wednesday.
Wild Wednesday.
Yeah.
And again, to the volunteers that do so much for us, and we're appreciating them.
Absolutely.
And so on. Can you, what is this code.org grant items?
Well, that would be the $10,000 award we received for Hour of Code. I thought you would be very interested to know what we purchased with that $10,000.
Is this for the software job?
So that's all the stuff that we purchased as a result of the $10,000 award we received.
For the
Hour of Code grant.
Hour of Code.
Yeah.
A lot of items here.
Well, $10,000 is
wonderful. Was Greg participating in this?
No. Amber Levine.
Amber Levine.
Oh, Amber Levine, but I mean, she...
I'm sure you're working.
Amber talked to me a little bit about what they decided, so she went over some of it. I'm helping them soon set up the digital sign.
Yeah.
So we'll be setting that up soon for them.
Microscopes and various machines, levers and pulleys.
Yep, a lot of hands-on,
Lego
a lot of...
Mindstorms. Is that dealing with Legos and building Legos?
The STEM robotics, obviously, we want to enhance
iPods
that.
and this is a lot of multimedia projectors.
Yep. We'll have a, in our foyer, just as they have at Hampton Academy, we've purchased a monitor, and we'll have a great sign in our foyer that'll be a monitor, so we're excited about that. We're working with facilities as we speak to find a place in our foyer for that as well. So yeah, we've got
This
some
is the
great
grant.
materials. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Very good, Lois.
Yep, good stuff.
Thank Amber for all her hard
That's,
work on this.
Yeah, definitely will.
something the taxpayers don't have to pay for.
It was a nice award.
Very nice.
And every teacher got document cameras, by the way, so everybody got something, which was, we thought something, was really great.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
I'm done. Thank you, Lois.
Frank, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any.
Thank you very much, Lois.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Questions for Mr. Lanner on his report?
I gotta find it first.
Well, okay. I have a couple. Okay, great. The Cynthia Merrill is coming to do the balanced literacy approach, and that you're having demonstration focused lessons.
Correct.
How is that being done, and where is that taking place?
That was actually today. We did that
Oh,
today,
okay,
which is
yeah, that's
perfect
right, it was
timing,
today,
Andrea.
right.
That's awesome. Today, when Cynthia comes, she comes at least 5 times this year, and we were trying to build out a contract with her to come back next year. But what she's doing is introducing a balanced literacy approach, specifically the Reader's Workshop model here at Center School. And there's basic components of the Reader's Workshop model. The key component is doing a classroom demonstration. And when you do a classroom demonstration, you're focusing on what's called the components of focus, one focus of a lesson, and then going and having the students chase that goal that the focus is on. And it's all based on how the Driscolls work, the standards that are out there as we transition from the GLEs into the Common Core State Standards. So we're taking the standards and we're blending them in, integrating them into our language arts program, so the students have an opportunity to work in just right books. They're reading books at their own level. Say the skill is sparkle words, and they need to get these words where they're trying to find different words, or trying to pause and try to go deeper meaning or deeper understanding. Well, they're doing that, and they're demonstrating, they're note-taking, they're responding to what they read. The teachers are meeting and conferring with the students, and so they have an opportunity to actually learn at their own rate and their own pace. So she's going in and modeling, and so the teachers come back, and then they discuss it afterwards, and then they're encouraged to go out into their own classrooms and do it. And then when she comes back, they report back to her again how that experimentation or that model went, and we're trying to build capacity on their understanding of the workshop model.
Who does she model with, though? I mean,
She models with the classroom teachers, and she actually goes into them. Today she went into 3 classrooms.
Okay,
And it's
that's
on
what
a
I was-
rotation basis. And so every time she comes, she picks 3 different classrooms, and she co-teaches the lesson with the teacher. The teacher's there. So then she gradually releases the responsibility to the teacher. So the teacher's teaching, and she's directly coaching at the time, in the moment coaching, which is so powerful, Andrea.
And this was with second graders?
And first graders
And
in
first
kindergarten. There's about 2 hours, each block is a 2-hour block. So today, 6 hours. She spent 2 hours in a kindergarten, 2 hours with first grade, and 2 hours with second grade.
I only had one other question. Do your grade 2 students, do they have math workbooks?
Math
Consumable
workbooks.
math workbook,
No,
journal
they do
kind of
not.
thing?
No, that was part of the old Math Their Way program that we do not use. When we had Mr. Callahan with us several years ago, and Mrs. Reynolds has been a huge proponent of this, we took a look at the Common Core State Standards when we were above the curve on this, and we took all of the Common Core State Standards in math, and we created our own scope and sequence, pacing guide, our own interim assessments that are on Performance Plus. We're the only ones in the state that have our math interim assessments on Performance Plus. In fact, Cameron Reynolds and Lynn Rademacher are being pursued always to go do presentations on how to do that. But we then spent countless hours during the summertime creating materials and packets of information that now we have a shared second grade resource. It's second grade, first grade, and kindergarten do this. Some of it is pulled out of everyday math, some of it's pulled out of computer sites, some of it's pulled out of things that we have, but again, it's aligned, each lesson is aligned towards the Common Core Standards in mathematics, but we don't have a consumable product. Because what happened when we use it, we found it was wasting money, Andrea, because we would take the everyday mathematics program and only use 12 pages in a 6-month period, and we'd have to keep skipping, saying, well, that's now in 3rd grade, that's now in 1st grade, that's not here anymore. So we weren't taking full advantage, and it wasn't fair to do that.
Okay, that's awesome.
Awesome.
And I'd like to just commend you on the Jumpstart Coalition and Fidelity Investments Program. I think
That's an awesome program. We're teaching money facts
Perfect.
and money understanding at an early age. It's the difference between I want and I need. And so they understand the savings program, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Tim.
Absolutely.
Frank, any questions?
None.
Okay, I'd like
Great job, thank you.
I'd like a motion to approve $2,165, $2,000 from the Hampton
Thank you very
PTA,
much.
and $165 for the Hannaford money. Motion
I'll
has
make a motion
made
to accept
and
those.
seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you to the shoppers that have put their tickets in the Hannaford thing, and thank you to Hampton PTA for donating $2,000 to the Marston School, to the Center School. And at this point, I would like a motion for $2,000 from the PTA for Hampton Academy and $250 for TMS Architects.
I'll make, okay, Andrew, you.
I'll make a motion.
And you're gonna
I'll
second?
second, yeah.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
If we have questions
Yeah.
on Mr. O'Connor's report, how should we go about
Why
doing
don't we
that?
just hold them till
All
next
right,
meeting?
I could try to answer
Okay.
them, Andrea.
Okay.
Well, I guess as you know, I was commending Lois because she had her fourth graders do their Smarter Balance testing before they have to take their science kneecaps.
Yep.
I guess I'm wondering how the eighth graders are gonna do that. What does the schedule look like? Are they gonna have the same opportunity?
Well, David has already started the testing at his school. Greg,
Yes,
what
it started
grades?
today.
Can you, do you know what David's, the schedule at Hampton Academy is for the testing?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's on my desk. So one thing I don't have is in digital form. Usually I have everything in the digital form. He handed it to me in paper. I haven't scanned it yet, but he began testing today in the 8th grade, and there were no problems so
It
far.
was with the eighth grade, though?
Yeah, they were up in Mr. Tierney's room. So they were testing in Mr. Tierney's room, and I think they did it with 7th grade too, because they were in Miss, why am I drawing a name blank now? 7th grade teacher.
Doesn't
Well,
matter. It was
it
7th and
doesn't
8th
matter.
grade
I
teacher.
guess, again,
I guess-
my concern is the 7-8 team and how the testing is gonna go when you have to split a team if you're doing one grade at a time.
But
And
they're
then my
not.
s-
As you heard, they're doing 8th grade and 7th grade at the same time.
They'll also be doing the 6th grade Chromebooks at the same time as doing some of the 7th grade.
Right.
So that will help speed it up. They'll overlap. So there'll be a good time where there's enough devices to do multiple people. We're not quite, as I said earlier, able to do everybody, but we're able to do an awful lot. We have two classrooms of two laptop carts, so about 35 computers set up in each of those classrooms. So when we talk about a classroom, it's not necessarily a classroom of 12. It's potentially a classroom of 25, 30 kids that could be in there. So.
Okay. And I was wondering also on the Quebec trip, how many students, chaperones?
23 students and 3 chaperones.
Excellent. And then my other question on a letter to the Hampton Academy families, it said that they received a placement overview letter and selection via the Blackboard Connect. Will there be something in paper going out as well for those parents that either don't have or can't get, or Blackboard Connect? Is that a necessary?
I know what they did is they created a Google form, and they also have it in a paper format for anybody who needs it, but
Oh,
they
okay.
did send it
That's
out
good.
through Google Form so people could fill it out that way. It just helps in data collection a whole lot quicker and
Good,
saving people.
I just wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to get it. Thanks.
Thanks, Greg.
That's it.
Any questions, Joy? All right,
You didn't even allow me to talk to Tim.
I'm sorry. Now you can, do you have any questions for Dave?
For Dave, no, he's not here, so,
Okay.
but I did want to mention about Tim's report a little bit. I don't know why you're blackballing me tonight, but,
Well, concise questions. Go ahead, Jerry.
well, I just wanted to, I looked at the after-school activities for Center School, and I like what I'm seeing. You know, art club after school and art club in April, the kindergarten Lego club was very successful. Our music program, Center Players, is in full swing, so it looks like we're giving fair due to the arts as well, which I think is important too. We talk so much about math and science and technical stuff, but we cannot forget the arts and the fact that I got outbid for the roof there at the art show. And I also think that savings program that you have is great too. I mean, to get kids started early and to understand the value of a dollar and you know, the cost of things and the value of things is a wonderful program to get started with. Some of the early lessons I learned when I asked my father for 9 cents to go to the movie, and he said, "No, you didn't cut the grass yesterday." So you learn lessons that way. This is a good program. Okay, that's all I just wanted to say something, Dave, because I wanted to let you know I read your report, and I like it, you know.
Very good, Joe. Continue good work. And we also want to thank at this point the public who supported the 8th grade chili cook-off. They made $1,400. Thank you to everyone that came. Thank you to everyone that supported it. That's a great assistance for their 8th grade trip.
I tried 10 out of 22.
You did? Well, that's
I didn't dare go anymore.
I've got a question regarding Dave's
Tim's report.
Yes,
Okay.
Dave's report. I don't know if Kathleen can answer this or whoever. Between the Smarter Balance testing and I think it's what, kneecap?
Science kneecaps.
Kneecap, yeah.
Okay. What's the cycle? I know what Lois, there was a breaking between those testing. Is there a break between those testing,
Yes.
these types of testing?
Yes.
There is a break,
Because
okay.
the kneecap testing doesn't happen until middle of May, so they'll have a break between.
Okay.
They should be just about finished before April vacation. If all goes well.
And a reminder to parents that on this Friday, your parent input forms are due, your world language and music choice forms are due. 18th through the 20th is the Quebec trip. Wednesday, April 22nd is the Interact North Beach cleanup. And April 23rd, the Thursday before vacation, is the annual Take Your Child to Work Day. So the Academy's got a lot of different things coming up, and we urge you all to support them. Now I think we can know Sarah's report. Sarah, do you want to do a presentation and answer questions on your report?
I can do both.
All right, multitasking. There we go.
There you go.
So if the 3D printer is printing shoes like the kids said, I'd like some Jimmy Choos.
Jimmy Choos?
Jimmy Choos.
Jimmy
If
Choos.
That's all right,
Okay.
yeah. So I wanted to tell you about a pretty exciting project. So, universal design for learning is a term that stands for a framework for the design and implementation of curriculum so that it meets the needs of all learners. So the typical kind of scenario in special education is that a special educator will have a unit from a regular education classroom, and they will do what we call modify that unit to meet the needs of kids. And the idea behind universal design is building the curriculum from the ground up so that it already meets the needs of our learners, so that we don't have to sort of retrofit it. The idea comes from architecture, actually. You've probably heard of universal design in architecture. So the difference here would be, you know, in some old buildings, like in back of the academy, we have a really ugly wheelchair ramp that I'm told from one of our staff members that's in a wheelchair has a steep incline and splinters on it, but at any rate, the idea is building the building in the first place so that it would be accessible, right? So that's kind of how the idea shifted over to education. And this idea is sort of the gold standard, if you will, in terms of service delivery and curriculum design. Universal design is mentioned in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, OSEP, the Office of Special Education Programs, the National Accessible Instructional Materials Center, and so forth. So this is kind of the direction where everybody should be going, the gold standard. And a couple of years ago, when Kathleen first came on board, I had a special federal allocation. Once in a while, through our federal grant activities with special education, we'll get a redistribution of some monies that weren't spent across the state, and they'll be redistributed back to us, and occasionally I'll get to do a special project. And that's the way we got things like the Read 180 program, for example. And I had a special allocation at the time, and so I approached Kathleen and I said, you know, this is the direction that I'd like to take us in. Could we work with the Universal Design people? They're actually out of the Center for Applied Special Technologies, CAST, in Massachusetts. And I had been following them for probably about 20 years. And so we contacted them, and it was very, very expensive. I had a fairly substantial allocation, and it still wasn't even going to begin to cover the kind of in-house professional development that we wanted to give. And just as an example, a 2.5-hour introductory workshop was $1,500. So the state of New Hampshire has recently partnered with the Center for Applied Special Technologies and the National Accessible Instructional Materials Center, and they have received a huge grant. And what they decided to do with this grant was choose 8 school districts across the state to participate in a Universal Design Academy. The Department of Education had actually called me about 6 months prior to this, and they invited me to join an Accessible Instructional Materials Task Force, and encouraged me to apply for this project. And so it's obviously right up my alley, something I've been wanting to do for a long time, so I did, and we were chosen to participate in the academy. So I just wanted to give you a little idea about what Universal Design was. I put together, this video is 3 minutes long, but hopefully it captures for you one of really the overarching or the big idea behind Universal Design, which I call disability is contextual.
Riding a mountain bike, playing soccer, or skateboarding may seem like a breeze to most people, unless you see what they see.
Echolocation is a way of perceiving the environment multidimensionally from a distance by using sound instead of light, almost the same as what bats use. Bats will emit a sound, and that sound goes out, bounces off everywhere in the environment, and the bat can extract an image from that chirp. And it turns out that humans can do the same thing. They can emit a tongue click, and that click goes out, it bounces off of everything in the environment, comes back to the listener, and the listener can learn to extract an image.
Mountain biking with echolocation is just awesome,
because it allows you to access the environment beyond the reach of your cane or your hand.
Neil Harbison was born with a rare condition which means he only sees in black and white. He's become the first person in the world to have a sidewalk antenna implanted in his skull. It detects different parts of the color spectrum and transmits the messages to his brain.
So it basically picks up the light frequency in front of me, and then it sends it to a chip, and the chip transforms the light frequency into sound frequency, and then I hear colors through bone conduction. Because bone can conduct sound, so instead of using my ears to hear color, I use my bone, and then my inner ear hears color. So when I look at art, I can hear the art piece, so many painters have become composers, so I can actually hear Picasso or Andy Warhol or this art piece that for me is just different notes. You know, but here it sounds higher pitch, here we have F sharp, F, A, so it's different notes, and there's many silences in between because black is silence.
I had heard of Twitter. I was not familiar with it, but I knew that it was out there. I knew that it was a way that you could use both computer website and text messaging to post comments. I started to think about how I might be able to incorporate this into the actual classroom setting in my big group of 90 students as a way to pull more students into a class discussion that I ordinarily wouldn't be able to do in 50 minutes with that many people.
It's been really exciting because usually in classes like this, you'll have 3 people that talk about the discussion material, and so to actually have 30 or 40 people at a time talking about it is really interesting, and then I can go back through the weekend and send them direct messages and ask them to probe kind of further and really think about the material that they've been reading.
So the takeaway here obviously is disability is contextual. It's really bound by the environment in which a person is placed, and so you know, if you have someone that doesn't talk, there might be another way for them to talk in class, and et cetera. So the general principles or ideas behind universal design are that we view the curriculum as disabled and not the student. So rather than taking a curriculum and retrofitting it, we're sort of building it with the elimination of barriers to people's different limitations in that, possible limitations in a given context in mind. And building accessible curricula from the ground up rather than modifying it. Differentiation of instruction through providing alternative representations, different ways to represent information. So, for example, that first clip you saw music, and I actually attended a lecture with some deaf folks recently on music where that software was used, and so they were able to enjoy it and understand it in much the same way that a hearing audience might have been. And the important piece here is that sometimes when we think of differentiation of instruction, we think that the content is going to be at a lower level for some kids. And so the difference with this type of differentiation of instruction is that we really try to keep in mind to not, dumbing down the curriculum, if you will, but giving access to those rich concepts that every other child has access to, but maybe some children may need to hear it or see it acted out or receive it in different ways. The other key component of universal design is the use of technology tools as a way to make these core concepts accessible to people. As you saw, some really interesting uses of technology. We've been thinking about, that last clip you saw was something called a tweet deck, which is an organic conversation through text messaging where you can see everyone who's in the message center, and they're carrying on a real-time organic conversation. So if you have children I actually do have children that don't speak, but maybe on grade level conceptually, or may be able to participate in a class discussion if they had another way to do that. So there's an example there. And then the last key component is using brain-based methodology. And all that means is that when we know something about the way the brain learns, we must translate that into action when we're teaching. So, if we know that children forget things after 90 minutes, then we have to take a look at the way we schedule instruction and how often we repeat things and what spaces we leave in between things, for example. So the universal design piece is a framework to kind of encapsulate all of this stuff. And the 3 key guidelines are, and you see the brains, we have the different parts of the brain. we have the what part of the brain, and so making sure that we're providing children with multiple representations of content. So it might be, you know, audio, digital books, and some kids may be reading visually. Some kids may be reading through Braille. I have kids reading through Braille. The second one is the how part of the brain, and that's letting children give back to us through multiple means of expression. So they may be saying something orally, they may be writing something, but giving children multiple choices. They may be using a technology tool to get the information to us. And then the last part is our affective, our emotional center of our brain, which research has found is very, very important in learning. And so finding ways to engage kids in multiple ways. And I think earlier with the STEM project, you saw a really, I mean, the kids just sort of took over and they were a panel discussion. They're so excited and so articulate about what they're doing. So that's a great example of what I'm talking about. So other kinds of examples, you know, in terms of how we might integrate technology or screen reading software, speech to text, where you talk and it will type a document for you. Digital textbooks they now have digital textbooks that have embedded supports, and by that I mean you might be able to hit a button because it's integrated with text reading software, and it'll read the text to you. There are books that have what we call embedded coaches, which are programmable characters that come out and remind you about comprehension strategies, you know. I see that this is boldface. That means it must be an important concept, you know. There might be embedded note-taking features where you can color code and then it'll organize your notes according to theme. And there might be other kinds of drafting tools where you can do mental visual maps of what you're reading right within the context of the textbook. And things like books. A book is basically an e-book that's video enhanced. So, you know, I know my graduate students have a book they have to read on the brain. And they can read a little bit, and then they can see a video of a research study being done, and then they can read a little bit more. So any kind of visual supports. Social media, we saw the Twitter example. Communication devices. You know, I have children that are talking through machines, iPads now. I have one child that's even going to use a tactile approach to having her machine work and talk for her because she can't orient to the actual shapes on the screen, so we're going to do it tactily by the way the pathways feel, right? And then things like speech to text, well, we talked about that. And then Lexile-based search engines. Maybe we have a search engine and we know somebody's reading level is at an 800, for example. And we put that Lexile score into the search engine, and when they research the circulatory system, only articles written in that range will come back so that they can actually participate that way. So we have things like that already. And so this is the last piece here, and the handout that I gave you, it's pretty complex, and that's why we need training. But the universal design principles for those, again, those three areas of the brain, the what, the how, and the why, right? The representation, the action, and the engagement. Underneath that are many, many, many sub-principles that teachers and administrators can learn about in order to form a framework so that when we're designing our units, we're designing our curriculum, we're including everyone. And so we are very lucky that we have a team at the Academy and a team at Marston, and we're going to be getting direct training and coaching from the folks over at the Center for Applied Special Technologies. These people are very, very well known throughout the country and actually in other countries as well. So I feel pretty fortunate that we're going to be able to interact with them over a long period of time and really get some high quality PD. And I gave that to you attached to your handout. So if you are interested, you could go to the CAS website or the New Hampshire AIM or the UDL Center or Early Childhood Technical Assistance Center, or I mean this is really where it's at in terms of the best practice model for people with disabilities, or contextual disabilities, as I like to say.
Any questions for Sarah? Well, first of all, obviously this is awesome. We do have a lot of this going on already.
Yes.
And that's a lot due to you, Sarah, so thank you for that. What's the next, and I don't believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it doesn't necessarily have to be for just the special ed student.
Right.
This can be for all students.
Yes, we hope so.
And I guess my other thing, what's the next step then?
Well, a couple of things. I think this marries obviously very, very nicely. You saw the RTI presentation last time, which was terrific. And I know the RTI team at the Academy, a couple of them have talked to me about universal design, are very interested. And one of their RTI team members is actually one of our universal design team members. And so the next step is to provide teachers with an introduction so that they understand what this is. And then, as you say, a lot of this stuff is going on. This marries, obviously, also very, very well. Greg is on our team. This marries very well with our one-to-one initiative. You will note as we go forward with that with the Chrome extensions, there are many accessibility tools. And there are a couple of key tools in particular that we would like to implement school-wide. One of them is called Text Help, and it has not only a text reader, but multiple other study tools and visual supports for students of all levels and all interests and all abilities. And so part of this project would be getting teachers, especially the special ed teachers, so that they can act as coaches, additional training in those kinds of accessibility extensions, and then developing some model units. And that's where our regular ed teachers that are on our team come in, because they're the curriculum experts. They're the content experts.
Right. And to reassure them that they're doing a lot of this already, and now you're just going to put a framework to
Exactly.
it. You know?
That's an excellent point. So we have this sort of collection of lots of things that I just mentioned
Now
that
we
we're
need to
doing, and many more.
organize it and put it in a format.
This is kind of how we organize it and put it into the different levels for different children. And so it gives us a guideline, when we're designing units and lessons and activities, have we hit all these areas? And if we have, we can be reasonably sure that all of our children are going to be able to participate in a meaningful way.
This is wonderful, and I just wanted to make an advance or behind comment and just tell you I think this parent advisory group is awesome too.
Oh, great, great. I'll let you know. We have our first one
I think it's
this week, and
it's long overdue. It's
yeah,
wonderful.
we're really interested to hear. We've been trying to get as much information as we can from parents. We've been running our parent series, and we want to hear what they have to say. So.
That's it.
Thank you.
Jerry, any questions?
I'm just taken back by everything I've seen, how people can, acquire the skills and come up in competency levels with these techniques that you've shown us here a little bit. I'm taken back by it. I'm open, of course, and supportive. I'd like to see us succeed in our next step, as Andrea puts it, and whatever we can do to help the child go forward, optimize their skills and abilities, I'm for that. And if we can incorporate it school-wide in some kind of a structure, that's fine too. So I'm very supportive, and I'll be looking forward to hearing how it's coming over
Great.
the next few months. Thank you.
Thanks.
Frank?
No, I don't have any questions, but I just want to say thank you for moving forward with this and, helping children that are in need and expanding it to other children.
Great, thank you.
Don't give up on those workshops, Sarah. They really are good.
We had a bad month, Jenny.
They were great. That Power Media presentation was really good. I even emailed Greg trying to get it for Surface rather than iPods. They don't have it, iPads. but they don't have it yet, but I'm trying to figure out something else that would be different, but it was great.
Well, thank you. We've been working with Media Power Youth a lot, and for parents that are interested, just Google Media Power Youth. They're a wonderful organization. They're doing some work with our Title X, which is a competitive grant that we got for some of our children up at the academy, and they've been doing filmmaking with the Media Power Youth people. Media Power Youth has come in and they've done some workshops for us on the kinds of messages that children receive through media and what parents can do to kind of navigate that maze. And they did one for our Title I Parents Night, which, by the way, anybody is welcome to attend. They always have a program, and not just Title I parents, anyone that's interested. But they just did one on motivating kids to read. Some of our children, I'm one of those moms whose son doesn't always like to read as much as I would like, and so we did a program on motivating young readers and books into movies, movies into books type of thing. So and I anticipate having them back in the future. That's why I'm talking, because I want them to come back, and I want parents to be able to see what they have to offer. Wonderful, wonderful organization, and our teachers have really enjoyed them as well. So be on the lookout, parents, for them again.
Well, thank you, Sarah, for doing it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Of course, Greg's report is here as well.
Would you like to have any questions for Greg's report,
I don't, I
Jerry?
just wanted to mention, I don't think we should leave him out. What was the technology planning meetings that you had?
Although we're no longer required by the state to have a technology plan, we still would like to have a vision and a direction of where we're going with the district. And a lot of our talk lately has been around having plenty of technology in place. It was in the form of hardware, but now how do we get them the support that they need? So we've been talking a lot about that, developing a way to devise a routine and a support mechanism, not just through me and my team, but as a district. How do we support each other, and how do we get the training to teachers that they need when they need it? So we're looking at some options of how we can do that, and hopefully putting that down in a way that we can have as a direction that the district will go. Looking towards the future, we've kicked around some ideas such as changing the schedule over at Marston a little bit for the computer teacher there, so that she has some more time freed up to go in and work with teachers and train them. And we're looking at that in different areas. Some of that's actually already going on this year at Center School with LJ, and he's been freed up a little bit to be able to get in and work with teachers. So trying to find a way that we can, still get them the instruction they need, but also get the teachers the support that they need in a way that's most conducive to them in the middle of a lesson.
Any questions for Greg, Andrea?
No.
Frank?
This may be redundant because this is my second meeting, but how are we progressing on Chromebooks for all students?
Every year, we have a system in place that will replace the students in 3rd and 6th grade will move on, and they'll take those Chromebooks with them. And the new students coming in 3rd and 6th grade will get Chromebooks. So over a 3-year time period, starting at the beginning of this school year, which was running a little late because they were on back order. So about November, moving forward 3 years, 3 years from that point, last November, every student grades 3 to 8 will have a Chromebook. We have been buying a little extra every year. Hopefully that's a plan to continue to do that. We've already had 7 break that I have sitting on my desk. I'm trying to find a lesser expensive way to replace. I looked online through Google, and it's only the glass that's breaking, so can we pop off the glass and put a new one on? I'm in conversation with a couple of my vendors to see if they can get me just the glass instead of the whole LCD kit, save the district some money that way instead of sending it out to someone to repair for $105. So
We knew we were going to have breakage.
right. It's all in there. We have extra, so we've been able to give them to students and continue
We're
work.
trying a cost-effective way to get the glass replaced.
That's what I'm trying to do. Yep.
So basically, you started this year with 6th grade. And then
3rd and 6th.
Okay. So they'll move on to 7th, they'll have them, and then the new grade kids coming into 6th will have them.
And then those kids in 3rd and 6th will move on, so then 7th and 8th grades will have them, and 4th and 5th grades will have them, and then 3rd and 6th
So
will
the
get
8th graders next year will not have them.
No, but we have enough additional resources available, so there was at least in the middle school 2 laptop carts per grade and 1 Chromebook cart per grade. So in essence, almost by next year, we could be pretty close to saying every kid grades 3 to 8 could have a device if needed in their hands, or pretty close to that. So definitely by the end of the 3-year time period, we can almost say that every kid district-wide would have access to a device if need be.
Great.
And my last question, what is this My Lunch Money?
My Lunch Money is something that's been available, and we're just trying to promote it a little bit more. After doing some research, we found that over half of the money that comes in a month, it comes in through this My Lunch Money. It has a twofold purpose to it. One is a way to notify parents what their balance is, and for us to let the parents track the students' lunch, but then also they can make payments by it. I will caveat that there is a charge to the parent if they are using their credit card, but I will tell you that they have that in Derry, where my kids go, and my wife loves it. She's willing to make the payment in the ease of not having to send a check in and knowing when the payment is low. So she loves it there. But
Good. Thank you for all you do, Greg.
No problem.
I think we can do the superintendent's report now.
Teachers, principals are
Well-
excused, the principals are excused.
They can go if they want.
If they want.
If they want.
We won't hold
They
it.
know that.
We won't hold it against
They know that. Okay.
You want to talk about Janine at all, or?
She's not here.
No, I just wanted to say I'm impressed with all she's doing, given how far along in her pregnancy she is. It's pretty amazing.
A lot of busy stuff she does.
A lot of
for sure.
stuff. And did we need to
We did
accept
that.
this? That one was already done?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm all caught up.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Not a problem. Well, because Catherine's talking to her leadership, why don't we do Nathan's report? We'll skip forward to Nathan's report.
I guess I would simply, the reports were enclosed, but I would add a couple of other things. I would like you to know that Mr. Lassard and I are marching forward, getting ready for the summer, and he's done some great stuff. Bidding is complete already on mowing and landscaping. That was awarded to Liberty Landscape Management here in Hampton. And you'll see Liberty vehicles on the property here in the next couple of weeks as we start spring cleanup and get ready for the growing season. Bidding closes tomorrow with a public bid opening on the bathroom renovations in the 1975 wing at Marston. Remember, we bid it out last year. The numbers came back almost twice what we had budgeted and anticipated. We reviewed the scope, worked with the architect. We added additional dollars to the next $300,000 warrant article, and we put it back out to bid. So cross your fingers. We open that bid tomorrow afternoon. Today we had a pre-bid meeting on student lockers for the 75 wing at Marston. Those bids are due back on the 23rd of April, and those will go on over the summer. Bid requests, I've been puttering a little bit. I hope you don't mind while we've been sitting here, wrapping up the bid going out the end of this week for reconstruction and repaving of the bus loop and parking lot at Marston. That'll go out, and the closing will be on or about the 5th of May, 5th or 6th, the first week of May. That work, I think we're talking 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe of impact with the reconstruction work. And then I know Keith's talked about letting it sit for just a little bit to see where it puddles and to make sure we've got it nice and leveled appropriate to the drains. And then we'll have to repaint that as well before we're done. But that'll be done before school gets back in session. And then I would remind you or just tell you that we're working on technology as well. Greg was just talking about, Chromebooks. I've secured pre-approval of leasing so that we can move on the second batch. He didn't say so, but these next generation, if we stick with the Dell Chromebooks, which I think we're going to, they are more like, what's the OtterBox? Or they're more not weather, but
protected?
They're more protected. They've got a rubber encasing that comes standard, little rubber bumper, and they also have touch screens like your tablet, like your iPad.
Yeah.
So next generation Chromebooks are continuing to march forward. We're also working on projectors at center school in the classrooms. I can also announce, we made reference to somewhere, we talked about Safe Routes to School earlier when we were talking about somebody's report. Our final contracts for travel planning have all been approved by the State Department of Transportation. So that's exciting. We're working with Alta Engineering. They've been anticipating this and working with us. And I can remind you that there's a public hearing on our preliminary proposals from them for some of the work that they've identified in terms of locations in the community with relation to walking to school and making your way safely, recommendations that they have from their preliminary work. That's this Saturday, the 18th at 9 o'clock, right here in this room at Town Hall. So a public hearing on our Safe Routes to School preliminary information.
That's good.
So,
Have a lot of intersections and stuff that will need some discussions.
Well, and I think we need to bring the town in.
Yeah, there should be
Yeah, because the
somebody-
school doesn't have that.
No, I don't know how, maybe Fred or.
Well, this is one more public hearing. The town planner has been serving with the committee, so
Oh, okay,
he's
good.
on it,
There's
that,
your
which has been
connection there to
great.
some degree.
He's really wonderful. And they'll do a preliminary plan, and they'll have one more public hearing, so there's input. My goal is that the plan gets developed, it goes before the Safe Routes to School Committee, they get a chance to review it, and then they make a presentation to the school board. And from there, we move to the town. Because I really think we need to talk to the planning department as well as the town officials. And I would recommend that, and I will recommend that to the Safe Routes Committee. Okay?
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I'm working with the Department of Transportation has been a challenge, but we have finally done what we needed to get done, and we were pleased when we received a call this week, or email that.
absolutely. Two more quick tidbits. I would just remind you, or I would tell you, we're in E-rate season. This is the time of year. E-rate is a program, a federal program that is run through the USAC, United something Schools and Libraries. It's a technology enrichment or encouraging program that works through telecommunications and other technology providers that work with schools and libraries in the country to encourage, with financial support, access to the internet, increasing bandwidth, and this is a reimbursement program. But we have a legal process to go through where we contemplate what our service needs are, we go out to bid, we contact other, we talk to multiple vendors, and so we're closing in on the end of that process. But I can tell you that right now it looks like we have locked down savings of about 12.5% on our phone service through the process. That means that the reimbursement that we get won't be as great as it might otherwise have been, but that's okay because I'm allowing that. Our budget impact is down. Same service, no degradation of service, but the prices are down because of the competitive effort. So we're working on that. And then I don't want you to miss a quick update on Hampton Academy and that facilities program. Appreciated your support at our last meeting. We are working on the final draft right now of a contract for the agreement between the Hampton School District and Trident's Project Advantage Group to serve as our owner's project management firm. We're meeting preliminarily with that firm next week, and then we're on tap right now for an initial meeting of our Facilities Advisory Committee project. I kind of like Project Advisory Committee. What would mean we call it the Hampton Academy PAC. Like we all need to have our own PAC, don't we? So anyway, the initial meeting of that's looking like the second week of May. I think we've talked about a date of the 13th, and initial overtures have gone out to members of that group, and hopefully our owner's project manager will wrap all that up in our preliminary meetings, and then they'll be there to help us as we start in earnest with that project. So. Any questions?
Questions, Jerry?
I looked over the budget. I think we're in great shape there. I really do. There's only one question I had was the car repairs. The vehicle expense, we spent $2,000 more than we projected. How old was that vehicle? I'm just curious.
Both of those vehicles are fairly new. We've got two vehicles that we covered up. One is the box truck, the white box truck that food service uses on a daily basis, which was purchased 2 or 3 years before I arrived, I think, so we make that 7 years old.
Right, so
and then the pickup truck that you purchased maybe just the year we were arriving, the year before, which
no age here.
No, in both cases,
we don't have problems.
We're over on that because both of them had some maintenance needs. We did, I want to say it was some brake work. It's tough for a vehicle like the pickup truck. It doesn't drive that many miles. It moves between the schools and so you have some maintenance issues that you wouldn't have if you were using it maybe more. The other is that we've got an encumbrance that you'll see that's driving the vehicle expense. We had some damage done to the box truck sitting over at Hampton Academy, and rather than let that fester and rust, we've got it scheduled to go in and have that body work repaired. It's not enough to change the, the operations of it.
I was just wondering if it was age. and
That's not.
It isn't age.
They're both relatively new.
Thank you for altering the format a little bit.
I did change that some.
It makes it
People
clearer
like
for
it.
me and on how you arrange the back page there, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Do typically at the end of the year, the unused track advance money, does it get used?
That's, all that is anticipating, so that we didn't have too little budget, anticipating those who might go from a bachelor's to a master's, et cetera.
No, I understand, but.
So, no, I mean, it doesn't.
It goes into the positive variance is where it goes.
It becomes part of the fund balance.
Back to
unless-
the public, eventually.
I don't want anyone to think that,
I haven't gotten my check yet.
I don't want anybody to think that we do that frivolously, because really it's all based upon the expectations of folks that we talk to and a review of all the professional development.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing, I think, is that when we're on the positive end of that, it certainly helps, because, for instance, we've got, 5 retirements, and there's retirement stipends that we don't separately budget for, so that has to fit in.
Yeah,
So,
no.
yeah.
And I'm also wondering, in the special ed teachers group there,
Right.
is this because we don't have as many special ed teachers anymore that we used to have?
No, it was because we had 2 retirements, and so you're looking at the first line. The first line is the higher at center school was less expensive based on credentials and experience. So was the case at Marston. That was a more dramatic savings. And then in the case of the Hampton Academy line, that's an unrealized track advance and a payroll adjustment that was made.
Strictly from just new
Just from the new
hires
hires.
that,
But you won't see that kind of variance in the next year, because next year's budget is actualized to match the people that are there now. So,
and when will you know about the IDEA for your,
we probably know that now. I just haven't dialed back with Sarah and had Mariah do the reclassing of that expense.
okay, just wondering.
Yep.
Thank you.
Frank, any questions?
No.
Okay, now I guess we'll go on to Kathleen's report.
I think for the most part, you talked about Smarter Balanced, and that is underway, so, we actually, David, in my report, I had originally put that David was gonna work after the April break, but David started it up early, and, I think everyone was, anticipating technology issues, but it went so smoothly. David did push it back, so he's actually started already doing the testing.
And
so-
that's where
that may
the
have been
concern came up.
Remember,
'cause
I
s-
wrote this report almost
Right.
2 weeks ago, so
That's where my
that's part of
concern
the
came up.
problem that we
Okay.
have when sometimes these reports, we have to write them and get them ready for packaging, and so, anyway.
I'm glad you clarified
Yeah.
that.
The camp invention, we're very excited about that. Liz Cronin, a teacher at Marston, will be the director for the camp. It's all around STEM for grades K through 5. Our youngsters will have a week-long summer camp, if you will. Camp Invention, they call it, and we'll be housing it at Hampton Academy because of the facility. Hampton Academy will be much more suitable for that, but we will be using our own teachers, and we already have 19 children signed up for the summer camp already.
That's
so-
wonderful.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and we have a parent who's very active from Center School who's been helping to promote it, so we're looking forward to that this
Very
summer.
good, Jen.
Yeah, that's kind of exciting for the kids. I can't say enough, I think I said it last month, I'll say it again. Greg and his team have been just there for our teachers as we were experiencing for the first time, Jerry, I think you said it, Smarter Balance. Greg and his team were there to help any problems, any concerns that our classroom
Good
teachers.
support.
Absolutely, and the message that I got was, There was a sense of relief knowing that the tech guys were there
Yeah, it's
in
always-
case
oh, yeah.
there was a little glitch. And so I'm sorry Greg's left, but he's been terrific. And I believe that the positive experience that we've had here in Hampton is in great part due to their efforts. We are beginning to work on, tonight I will bring you a candidate for one position, a special ed position over at Center. That's where we're at right now, is doing interviews. We have the guidance interview happening over at Center School. Our team of teachers is working with Mr. Lannon on that. We'll have some more work here at Marston, so that's all moving along.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Is there anything happening as far as attrition or transfers that will change any of?
Within schools or, there may be.
Okay, I was just.
Yeah.
And also, are the committees for all of these, interviews? Do we have a good representation?
Yeah, the biggest committee we have right now is at Center School for the guidance counselor, and that's representative of all the grade levels, the support staff. I think the school nurse is on it. The one I'm going to bring you tonight for the special ed was an internal candidate, so it was less of a committee that we would normally see.
Okay.
May I go on? Is that
Yep.
okay? I guess Ginny will talk a little bit about the preschool committee, but that has been really exciting committee. These preschool teachers, these private preschools, are really enjoying the opportunity to come together in collaboration with our kindergarten teachers to share what's happening in the kindergartens. They share what's happening in their preschools. It's just been wonderful. So we just had another meeting last night, and again, very positive. Next meeting, last meeting of the year, will be May 18th. We have the state coming down. They have a real preschool initiative. The Commissioner of Education is really pushing to develop some preschool opportunities. And I think they have noticed the work that's being done here, and I think they see some merit in it. We also have some wonderful news about Head Start. They started over at Center. It's just awesome to see the 3- and 4-year-olds that are part of the Head Start program in our buildings. I got a wonderful email from their director thanking the Hampton Center School staff, Mr. Lannon, for the work that was done to make them feel at home. Parents are very happy. I think we've managed to take care of everything, including the food. We are preparing food for them. They come to the cafeteria and they have their breakfast in the morning in the cafeteria, and then their lunchtime is in their classrooms, family style. They have a ton of staff. I went over on Friday and visited, and they have a lot of staff, so there's good coverage for the children. And the children are taking notice. One of the teachers told me on Friday that it was really a riot. The little 3- and 4-year-olds are lining up and walking down the hallway in a little line, and she was taken back a little bit by it, but the kids are only mirroring what they see when the other kids. And they were just like so happy about just learning to be in a school and what it's all about. So that's an initiative that you all supported, to allow that to happen for 31 children.
That's wonderful.
Now remember, these are half of them are Hampton youngsters and half of them are from Seabrook. So
that's right.
Pretty much. There's a few others, but Safe Routes, Nathan already updated you on. Wanted to let you know about another Hampton Arts Network program. Bev Hollingsworth called me last week, and the Hampton Arts Network is going to offer a program to our middle schoolers, exclusively to middle school, for an art program over the summer with artists in residence.
Nice.
So the kids, free of charge, and so she'll be working with Donna Boardman so that our middle schoolers will have that opportunity. It was just excellent. They're a very active group. They've been terrific.
Wonderful.
We've been busy with all the events going on, it's just, you know, it doesn't stop.
No, it
Today,
doesn't.
today we went to Concord, I went with David this morning, and Al Magnuson has been nominated by the Hampton Academy staff as their nominee for Teacher of the Year, so Al was one of 20 teachers in Concord being recognized and sharing his work here at Hampton Academy. So it's just the first step of a very long process of selecting the Teacher of the Year for the state of New Hampshire, but it was a proud moment that we had a Hampton teacher there. And I know that I've talked to the newspaper, I talked to Max earlier, and we'll run a nice story on that. So that was a wonderful day, along with the Rotary this morning with the girls who did their speeches. So I may have skipped over some things legislatively.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you
Yeah.
legislatively. It's just,
I get the New Hampshire School Board Association.
yeah, they're
once a
very
week
good.
is-
If you read that, that really gives you a good insight.
But nothing's, seems to be.
Well, it's in committees or about to come out. It's in the vote. I mean, they got several bills that are going to be voted on this week, as a matter of fact.
I feel like they all get that designation.
ICL?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like it keeps getting that designation, I'm like.
That's not a good designation.
No, I know that, that's why I get discouraged
That's
when
like
I
the
see it.
dead letter office.
Right, most of those are okay. But what happens is once the House of Representatives accepts or not accepts a bill, it goes over to the Senate.
Right.
The Senate then
Has their own
contemplates
committees,
it, and then they come back, which, you know, then they come back and negotiate a settlement.
reconciliation.
It's June before we really know.
You're right.
Unfortunately, the adequacy money is not gonna change for Hampton. We will not get any money. in
No
adequacy.
building money.
But no building, the House has actually asked for a continued to freeze that money, which
Right.
is really a
And
shame.
even less in the out year.
Yeah, out the second year, you're right, Jerry, they even reduced it, because they don't have as much money to pay off, so they're reducing it, because as districts' bonds get paid off, like ours will get paid off, they won't have that, so they reduced it.
The whole thing is revenue.
Yeah.
Lack of revenue in the state.
I had a chance to attend a legislative session in Concord. I think I mentioned it. Nancy was a presenter along with the chairman of the House Ed, Rick Ladd from Haverhill. And I did take the liberty to speak on behalf of the children that it really isn't a budget issue, it's a revenue issue. And we've been dealing with this for a while, and until the revenues are really, in my opinion, until they're handled, we're going to continue to see cuts in adequacy, building aid, and catastrophic aid.
They're even talking about eliminating, wow, this whole Medicare, Obamacare type program, they're even talking about cutting that.
That's going to affect a number of people.
That's going to have a huge effect. That's going to have a huge effect on our families that are in need, and there are families.
Costs across the board.
Yeah.
So we're keeping an eye on it. We provide testimony. I try to talk to Nancy when it's Senator Stiles and share your concerns, speak on your behalf.
You know, the thing that, when you read these weekly New Hampshire School Board Association activities, the thing that went through my mind this past week is when we read about legislation it's in the embryonic stages, it's in the House of Representatives, hasn't even gone to the Senate yet, do we communicate with our representatives to let them know how we feel about some of these bills or whatever?
Some of them I do. Some of them I do. It depends, you know, the ones that affect us.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
And I do communicate with Senator Stiles.
Yes.
We have, Nathan and I have sat down with our legislators on occasion, bring them in, have coffee, you know, and talk to them about what our needs are.
There's so much going on with Common
Representative
Core.
Wood was in, Representative Wood came in.
Yeah, he talked
and met
about
with us.
Common Core with you, yeah.
Common Core and other issues, you know, so that he had a better understanding.
I'm wondering if there's any benefit, like the selectmen being in the representatives, and they brought them in this past Monday, right?
Right.
They did.
I'm wondering if there's any benefit for that. I don't want to waste time with us or them, but I mean, is there any benefit? We can talk about it later, but I'll bring them in every quarter or something and go over all this stuff to see just, you know, how these bills are looking or what we should impress upon them and what we should support and what they should know we support. But if you think you've got a good link already with them, then that's okay with me.
Yeah, until they get a slew of money, I don't think we want to talk to them.
Yeah.
When we solve the issue of finances in the state, then I think that they'll be willing to move forward with aid to schools, but until that point, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's
the story of every municipality, every government right now. There's a lot of issues and no money. That's the sad part.
I will say that the governor, Ms. Mackey Hassan, has recommended a casino a couple of times, and that's, I'm not a gambler, so I wouldn't be feeding any money into it, but I see a lot of people going down to Massachusetts and Connecticut, or at Connecticut really right now. They will be going to Massachusetts shortly as they put in several casinos, so I think we may have lost out there.
You know that the governor visited Center School.
I saw that. Yeah, it was nice.
It's a nice article in today's paper, I understand, and
Yes.
she enjoyed the visit and read to the youngsters, went downstairs to the cafeteria. It was so funny because it was the first day of Head Start. All the Head Start teachers were here, were like, is the governor here to welcome us? You know, they didn't even realize that she was coming. And, you know, Governor Hassan just walked right into the cafeteria, you know, and she just, you know, said hello to everybody and to the children, and then went into the gym to see all of the kids.
So it
was a great day. It was a great morning, and then she went off to, I believe, Northampton.
Certainly looked and sounded, she was very empathetic with the kids in terms of their grade levels.
Yeah.
She reached them.
She was very good,
She was very good at that.
You read a story to him. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you there, Frank?
Yes, I attended.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we wonder where you were, Jeff.
We were wondering where you were.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously it was a different political situation, but at your party, but.
Well, I'm glad you made it, Frank, really, good, good.
I have two questions.
Sure.
If it's
It's fine.
Yeah, okay. I was sorry that I guess I just missed the information about it, but when you met with with Joe Baylor, were there any other SAU 90 staff that went to it?
We had two teachers from the Hampton Academy Math department went to her all-day work session, and then myself and Mrs. Rademacher went to the evening session at Exeter. Everybody was really, really
Well, I know. I heard
pleased
it
with
was
it. And I
awesome.
just talked to Barbara Hopkins this week, and Joe Bowler, Dr. Bowler is coming back, and she'll be back with us in August. So Barbara and I talked about how we can include more of our staff so that they have an opportunity to see her. So
Okay.
she was excellent.
Now, I was able to get a copy of her book. Will we have her books available to staff members to maybe do some summer reading?
You must be reading my mind. I just talked to Barbara, and she's ordered me 15 copies of her book.
Oh,
so
good,
I can
because I just
share
thought that
with
might be
staff.
something that,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
math
No,
people might want to
she
look at.
purchased 15 books for me so I can spread them out through the building.
Good. And the other thing I had a question about was Comcast Volunteer Day. What did you kind of have in mind for possible projects on that?
I don't know. I'm gonna try to pick some people's brains. What kind of Jay? And when I met with Jay, he said they'd like to do a project in Hampton. So I've got to come up with a project that they do all kinds of things. I mean, they do painting and landscaping and
they do great
build
work.
things. So my job is to figure out what it is that would be a good project for them.
Now, is there any way to use their volunteers in a way that would help our safe routes to school people? Is there any way to intertwine that, or
Well, I don't think
because of
we're there
liability?
yet.
No.
We're not there yet. We have a plan, but then we don't have any funding yet, or we haven't solidified what that plan is going to
Okay.
be. It's going to be signage and, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So it's probably going to be something that might not be in their bailiwick. One of the projects that I'm very interested in is out back of Center School.
Mhm.
When they did the project out back, and they raked it out, but a lot of little stones and stuff came up, where the field
Right,
is.
yeah.
So Nathan and I have been out back, and we'd like to be able to do something out back to clean that area, because the little children still play around there, so. That was one of the things I had in mind, but I'm wide open to ideas about some other things that we might do. But Comcast is willing, they've been great, obviously been great to us. He was anxious to see how Channel 13 was and the programming and how that's gone, and I think the Channel 13 speaks for itself. I think it's really been a benefit to this district.
Oh, yeah, it's a plus, big plus.
And it's a
Another
great
step.
tool in communication.
Any other questions? Frank, any questions for Kathleen?
No, I don't have any questions. There's something I'll talk to you about in the private section regarding just a recommendation, but other than that, no.
Okay. Committee reports, anything for the budget, Jerry?
Now, we have a meeting, I think next week. And we'll see how that reduction in quantity of people was coming, because the people voted to go down to
Yes.
9,
Yes.
6 plus 3, and we're at 15, so they're going to go from 9. And I know the chairman there, Eileen Latimer, was investigating the legality of that, so we'll hear about that. And then we'll see what kind of recommendations the pool of budget committee people are making to make the budget process better for the community.
Okay. New Hampshire School Board report, anything?
No, it just, it's bills going in and being discussed in various committees like we have said, and nothing's really popping out yet. If anything comes up of substance, although they did change the multiplication tables, the requirement for multiplication tables, and also the requirement to be tested for the citizenship and the civics that we talked about a month ago. They made that, instead of a requirement, a recommendation.
Oh, there we go.
That be taught and given, but not a requirement. So they backed off on that.
They actually changed it again.
They did?
To encourage.
To encourage.
So they're not recommending, they're encouraging now.
Well, they're not requiring, but now they're encouraging.
Encouraging.
Is that, maybe it's what they went to, maybe I read it wrong, but.
That's the last one.
Yeah, so I'm watching it, and are you getting any of these?
I just attended, actually, the workshop on boards setting goals and
Nice.
strategic planning.
But I mean, are you
so-
getting any of these letters? Because
A few of them,
right here,
yeah,
on a weekly basis?
not on a weekly basis yet,
I
but
think that's a weekly, right, Kathy, weekly?
He sends them out weekly.
Yeah, so you need to,
I will.
Okay.
Anytime I'm gonna help.
Curriculum, language arts was,
Well, there's nothing going on with the language arts right now. It's more the math, and we're meeting May 13th. Oh, sorry, that's the facility, never mind. What day? So,
you know we're meeting, you're
I
right.
gotta keep my committees right. We are
Math is May 7th,
May 7th, okay,
and language arts is May 12th.
May 12th. And we have a board meeting that night. And then May 13th, okay, I got it all set now.
It's a busy week.
And is there anything going on with career ladders and teacher certificate?
No, we
No,
haven't
that's-
submitted our proposal to the teachers, and we haven't heard back.
Okay. And the preschool committee, all the preschools are making arrangements to go to center school. All the center school kindergarten teachers are making arrangements to go to the different preschools. I am going to suggest that the kindergarten teachers also make appointments to the 2 preschool programs in the area that haven't attended our program yet. So we'll see how that goes, but they should be able to get over there. And then our next meeting is May 13th.
12th?
No, May 12th.
No, preschool
Oh,
committee.
preschool.
Preschool committee.
We changed it last night to the 18th.
Oh, good. All right, now personnel, I believe we have our nomination?
Yes. You have one? Did you get one of paper?
No.
This is the formalization of...
Yeah, this is a formal nomination, so I would like to place the name of Lynn Rademacher for nomination for special education teacher at Center School. You can see from Lynn's resume that Lynn has been involved in our schools. She's provided services for a youngster that is placed in a charter school, and she's also been working in math. And, she's a math enrichment math tutor at Center School for the last several years. Prior to that, she did some reading and reading tutoring at Center School. She is a graduate at Syracuse University. It's all on her her nomination sheet, and is now certified both in special education and in elementary education.
And she would be doing the Center School?
Yes, she would be replacing Crystal, who retired.
I see.
Is there a motion to not?
I'll make a motion to nominate them.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye. Very nice credentials. Very nice credentials. Education-wise and experience-wise, so good asset to join, you know, our part of us, SAU 90. So where are we, Madam
Your
Chairman?
approval of the minutes.
I read the minutes.
Did you like the minutes, Joe?
I just loved them.
Okay,
I
good.
didn't have a comment. I even emailed Joan.
Page 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53. Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Jerry nominate.
I made a motion to approve them.
And Frank
Frank
seconded.
seconded, he loves
Kathy
seconded.
asked me for them, and I
Okay.
never finished them, so I will.
And
I have them right here.
calendar, check the calendar, because there's just a lot. We do need to schedule a work session, but I think we're gonna hold off on that, for a,
For late May,
for a
maybe.
few minutes, yeah. Let's,
Lots seems to be happening. Well,
yeah,
we'll talk about it
a
though.
lot's happening.
Yeah.
We do need a motion to go into non-public.
I make the motion.
Thank you.
91, what is it, Jenny? 90?
91A, semicolon 3A. 91 dash A 3, Roman numeral 2A.
Okay. And I'll second that.
Okay, Andrew, roll call. Okay. Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Frank?
Frank?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
8:57.
8:58.
So,
Okay.